With 2025 coming closely and the vastly growing technology that has everybody recording everything, you've most likely come across some motorcycle content, TikTok or YouTube. Seeing some highway takeovers, all the bros doing power wheelies and cool highway roll racing, you've probably discovered that motorcycles is a great way to pick up chicks. So you break out the old interwebs and you watch hours of popular content from Yami Noob and Donut Media and all that on how to buy a motorcycle. Now, all these videos are great, don't get me wrong, but none of them discuss the overall outcome. Buying a bike isn't really the first step, and really it's only a small part of the motorcycle scene. In order to ride a motorcycle, you'll first need a motorcycle endorsement through an MSF course or a Class M permit and pass the skills test. Probably the most surefire way to get your license would be to take the MSF course and get your endorsement. Most will cost you around $300 to $400, and they'll provide a bike for you to ride. However, to take this class, you'll need the next important and probably the most obvious overlooked item, a helmet. With 17 states requiring you to wear a helmet while operating a motorcycle, you can get a solid full face helmet for around $100 to $200. Your bare bones black bell helmet, say that 5 times fast, will do just fine. With other options ranging from $200 to $500 to even $1,000, you could easily go down the rabbit hole of cost. But for the sake of this video, I'll keep this to the basics. We're just trying to go over the minimum requirements you'll most likely need to get into motorcycling. Depending on the path you take, you'll also need a pair of gloves. Most classes will require you to wear a pair of gloves. If you get a pair with carbon fiber knuckles, it'll double for safety when you smash a mirror or when that Karen decides to cut you off for revving your bike at that red light to impress all the ladies. In all seriousness, don't break anybody's mirror. That's just not cool. Gloves are a great safety precaution and not just meant for protecting you from losing your fingerprints when you high side your bike in the twisties. They'll actually give you some cushion when you fall over in the parking lot when you're trying to get those cool shots for the ladies. A decent pair of gloves can run you about $50 to $100, but if you need to get something that'll just get you going, a $20 pair of mechanics gloves can get you what you need. But remember, cheap isn't always better. Having that extra protection from full wrist support will come in handy from day one. Which, speaking of extra protection, the next safety item that is not needed, but I would highly recommend it, is a decent riding jacket. Not only is this going to come with extra padding in your shoulders, elbows, and back, but it also helps in weather changes. A decent jacket can come with a removable liner and a breathable protection. These jackets can range anywhere from like $100 to $300 to $400, depending on what you want. There are some solid budget-friendly options. Once you get into the $150 to $200 range, you'll get more customizable options like removable pads and liners. This is one I'm half and half on depending on the bike that you get. If you ride a cruiser, I'm less likely to recommend you a full jacket other than maybe just a decent leather jacket so you can look like the cool Sons of Anarchy. But if you're riding a sport bike, I'm more likely to recommend a full padded jacket because sport bikes lead to squids, squids lead to dangerous activities. And that's where I would recommend the jacket more often. Now, depending on the bike, this can range wildly. Insurance. If you finance a brand new bike, insurance companies will require you to get a full coverage. The younger you are and the higher the CC of the motorcycle could cost you anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 per year. Whereas a used Honda Grom might only cost you about $200 a year to cover. The higher the CC and the sportier the bike, the more likely you are to spend more. Obviously, the Gixxer 1000 is going to cost you way more than it would if you were to just get a Ninja 400. But because of this, it's kind of hard to judge exactly what you'll be spending, but you do need to remember that you could have a high bill when it comes to insurance. On the topic of insurance, it's always good to have video evidence to support your claims. An action camera can function as a dash camera and a media creation device. However, I don't recommend it as a media creation device for TikTok and YouTube, because if you're a first-time rider, you're going to want to be focusing more on riding and not your video. Now, with the release of the recent Insta360 X4, this will run you about $400 to $500 depending on the kit that you get, and it'll protect you from when that Nissan Altima driver decides to have you as their next dent and their next speed bump. You're always going to want to have that video evidence when they decide to run you off the road, because it's going to happen at some point. Now, these are just some of the more common things that I wanted to let you know about that nobody else kind of mentioned, but you could always get like a lot more options when it comes to motorcycles. Now, for my sport bike riders, there are a couple other options that could cost you more when you first start out that nobody really mentioned about, but these are options that you don't need right off the bat at all. A decent tracksuit will cost you anywhere between $800 to $1,000, but you're not going to need a tracksuit to learn how to ride a motorcycle. This is just for when you finally get more comfortable. It's just an added step that they don't tell you about. Another one that is pretty popular to talk about but nobody mentions is a decent pair of riding boots. You could be spending anywhere from $100 to $200 on these. They're not necessary, but they are highly encouraged. You could be riding out there in your favorite Timbs, or you can go ahead and get a set of these Forma Phantom boots for $300 that'll give you full protection, but I don't think they're necessarily needed depending on your riding style. Now, if you add up all those different safety gear options, that video that told you that you could buy that $4,000 Ninja 400 now just added up to about $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 that you didn't even know about. So before you start going into getting your first bike, make sure you do your research. Make sure you find out what exactly you're going to want to wear. These are all just recommendations. You don't actually need any of this if you don't want to, but it's highly recommended if you're going to be a first-time rider. And with that, I hope you guys stay safe out there, enjoy your first bike, and stay warm.